Very good afternoon to you from me, Alex Nyman, once more here for another hour and 50 minutes of the very best in jazz, old and new, and I have a fair selection of both for you here on Arrow FM 92.7. I'm going to be kicking off with some really nice music here by Jerry Bergonzi in the background, as you can hear him sort of revving up the piano. He already get his saxophone going, and it's going to be a really nice afternoon of jazz with you. I hope you're going to be able to stick with me through till just about 2:15, and so let's kick off. Here's Jerry Bergonzi. that was Jerry Bergonzi, one of the world's most incredible saxophonists, and he's playing their track that was called First Ray Intention, and that was from the album called The Seven Rays. So I safely assume that there will be 6 other rays to listen that all have other names for those tracks, and a very fine album as well. Really love Jerry's playing. Has always been at the forefront of saxophonistic things over the last probably 45, 50 years. Yeah, he's still going strong as well. Quite an amazing player, really is, and very, very influential, not only as a player but also as an educationalist. Lots of fantastic stuff on YouTube with him, not necessarily free lessons, but certainly snippets of stuff that he does that have been put up there, where you can learn so much from the guy. I mean, 2 minutes with Jerry Bergonzi is worth 200 hours with somebody else for sure. Okay, let's move on. I've got a really lovely vocalist here called Andrea Mortis. I've played some quite a few tracks with her, actually featured as an artist with the Saint Andrew Jazz Orchestra, and as she's now sort of becoming better known just as a person in her own right, as she should be, of course, and no longer a featured artist with, but she is the artist. And a couple of tracks from her singing, and just see what you think of these. Gorgeous. I'll play them back to back. Senza pressa and samba de un minuto.
Que s'abracen, flors que un dia es tanquen i no n'hi torna a haver. Entre feixos lhe dizer um minuto de sua atenção. Com minha dor não se brinca, já disse que não. Com minha dor não se brinca, já disse que não. Devagar, devagar quando teu samba de barro e a fonte secou. Já não tens tanta verdade pra dizer, nem então um pouco mais maldade pra fazer. E se a dor é de saudade e a saudade é de matar, em meu peito a novidade vai enfim se libertar.
Beautiful track there. That was Andrea Martis. I don't know who the clarinet player was. Sounded a little bit like Eddie Daniels, but once he got up into the top bridge there, I didn't think it was him, so I might just have a little bit researching on that just to check who that actually was. The trumpet player on the first track that she did, the Senza Presa, was actually Andrea. She plays really, really nice trumpet as well, and she's a very, very talented lady for sure. Coming up is another very talented lady. Her name is Jordan Petay, and it's a track called Whatever Happens. I'm going to tie that into another track afterwards. That one's by Richard Galliano. So it's all very, very so European, if you will, today. Not all of the tracks are European, but certainly those the start of the program is anyway. Apart from Jerry Bergonzi, because he's from New York. He's definitely not. Or is it, actually he's New York? Yeah, I think he is. It's either or Chicago. I'm not too sure. I'll check on that as well for you, just in case. I'm digging myself into a huge hole there about where people are from. All right, doesn't matter. Well, he sounds like he's from New York anyway, to my ears. I'm probably completely wrong. However, somebody who isn't from New York is Richard Galliano, and neither is Jordan. Actually, Jordan Petay might be from New York. I don't know. That's something else. Oh gosh, Alex, stop! You really are talking yourself into a lot of extra work that you didn't really need to do. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to play Whatever Happens. This is Jordan Petay. That was Richard Galliano there on the accordion, recorded live in Tokyo, and sort of a medley of Michel Legrand numbers. Windmills of Your Mind, Once Upon a Summertime, and You Must Believe in Spring. Michel Legrand, of course, one of the great song smiths of all time. Is she still with us? Oh gosh, I can't remember. It's very difficult to keep I must have an update of, but just by the side of people who have passed this year and last year and the year before in the world of jazz, because so many seem to have come and gone, and all too soon, unfortunately, in many cases. Anyway, Richard Galliano did a fantastic job with that. Really enjoyed that. Gorgeous playing. And so recorded live in Tokyo. The album is actually called Live Tokyo Concert, if you're interested in, seeking it out somewhere. Let's move on. Let's go over to America now with Jeremy Pelt, trumpet player, and shortly after that we're going to hear from Joshua Redman with his quartet playing the Circle of Life. The Jeremy Pelt numbers F-E-I-T-O, Fito. Who knows? I better give him a bell and find out and see. Jeremy, how do you say that name? I'm not too sure. There's 100 different ways to say it, but what shall I go for? I'm going to go for the German one, Fito. It probably won't be that at all. Anyway, Jeremy Pelt, trumpet player, amazing trumpet player. Here we go. I've got 13 minutes of 14 minutes of goodness for you from Jeremy Pelt and Joshua Redman. Circle of Life with the Joshua Redman Quartet, Come What May is the name of the album. And before that you heard Jeremy Pelt playing his track Fato or Fito or Fito, and fabulous stuff all round. Wonderful music. Coming up now, I got a track that is written, well, actually the whole album is about sort of resetting David Bowie material, the pop singer, if you will, the pop singer who's decided of course no longer with us, David Bowie's music into a more jazzified situation, if you will. And so that's kind of basically what it's about. I had a number of tracks from the album that I could have played, but I chose one that I guess kind of I remember from when I was much younger. There's one of the first tracks that he brought out, actually, The Man Who Sold the World. And this is, I'll tell you a little bit more about the basics of it once the track is over. And I'm going to tie that into another track. This is actually a track by Corey Weed's quintet, and that one's called Blues Are Over. But before that, as I said, this is The Man Who Sold the World, the Possibles Quartet. And that was Corey Weed's quintet playing Blues and Over. I'm actually just going to try a little experiment thing now, because I was just talking with Michael Wilson in the office, he who must be obeyed, and he was talking to me after I'd played that track by Richard Galliano. He said, that sounds just like Max Geldray. And I said, who's Max Geldray? He said, he's a harmonica player, and he used to play with the Goons. For those of you who are old enough, like what Michael and me are, you'll know that the Goons were a very funny group of comedians. I think they're the Cambridge or Oxford, I can't remember now. I'm sure Michael will burst through the door in a second and tell me. I think they might have been Cambridge. I'm pretty sure they were. And anyway, so yeah, he didn't burst through the door. No, in fact, he hasn't burst through the door yet, but when he does, I'll let you know. And I thought I'll just have a little check, because Michael was putting them up on his computer, but his computer wasn't playing. It was playing up a little bit, but it certainly wasn't playing the tracks. So I thought I'd pop in here, and I'll just check and see what the track is like. And
now will the next challenger sign in, please?
Max Geldray.
This is Max Geldray playing CJ Blues. What a fantastic recording that was. I know Max Geldray before, obviously playing chromatic harmonica there. You can kind of tell when he's sort of playing a lot of stuff which is not as out of the key, as it were. And absolutely marvellous. I did mention something about Cambridge, didn't I? Well, Michael kindly reminded me that had nothing to do with Cambridge. Well, was before the intellectual takeover, and people like Harry Seacombe and Spike Milligan and those guys. Nothing to do with the Monty Python guys and Peter Cook and Dudley Moore and all those guys who came thereafter. Anyway, that's Max Geldray, and so I've learnt something new today. Maybe you have as well. And if that's all it is, then isn't the world a wonderful place? That's an absolutely fantastic track, and what a player! Really does play extremely well. Of course, I think he's probably passed by now. Just put my music level up a little bit. Okay, right. So now we just had a kind of a blues and over thing with I don't really want to play Cannonball Adderley. Who shall I get coming up now? Roscoe Mitchell. Oh, actually, Roscoe Mitchell's a bit out there. Let's have a little something that's a bit more out there than in there. And this is called No Na 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 Na. That's really what it's called. Something like that. It's a load of letters sort of all jumbled up, and I think it might mean something. I shouldn't say it glibly because it might have some meaning. It might do, might not. There you go. That's something else I can research today. This is Roscoe Mitchell. No, 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 no. that was a very beautiful track there by the Roscoe Mitchell Orchestra, and No Nain Na, I think might be sort of a almost an approximation of the title. Probably won't be too far away from that, I'm sure. Interesting music for people that might not have listened to too much free. I'm not going to call it free jazz, but just free music, which it is in terms of the freedom. As you might be able to tell, it's atonal, and there might have well been written parts there. There might not. The guys might have just been playing to what the conductor might have been asking them to play at that particular time, or they could have had equally well just had written parts there and sort of playing to order, as it were. Whatever the end effect is, whatever you like, it's a very subjective thing. As I always say about music, you either like it or you don't, or you might have your foot somewhere in between the two. I personally like it very, very much. And let's carry on now with, and I actually played a Michel Legrand track beforehand by Richard Galliano, who's playing it on the on his accordion. Okay, so this is a track now called How Do You Keep the Music Playing? It's a beautiful track, and this is no, excuse me, that's not actually by Michel Legrand. I beg your pardon. I'm pretty sure it's not. I'll check that one out for you as well. This is featuring Steve Gadd. And that was Kuwabara playing the piano with Steve Gadd and Will Lee on Steve Gadd playing the drums and Will Lee on bass. And actually, it was a Michel Legrand. I thought it was a Michel Legrand number. He composed music, but Alan and Marilyn Berg actually wrote the lyrics to it. Very famous lyric writing couple. Beautiful track. Okay, sort of sublime to the ridiculous there, wasn't it? With ridiculous to the sublime, considering the track before. But yeah, that's music can be like that. I quite like that because of that. Okay, let's carry on now. Here's a fantastic band. These guys are based out of the area of San Francisco. It's called the San Francisco Jazz Collective. However, they normally come and do. So sort of straight ahead jazz, but in kind of weird kind of time signatures. It's all very composed and very clever and very very intricate, if you will. And this a couple of tracks out of their kind of Latin book, if you will. And this is a one-note samba and how insensitive the Jobin numbers. Two fantastic tracks there from the San Francisco Jazz Collective, both tracks written by Antonio Carlos Jobim, and there are some other original tracks on that particular album. It's just called San Francisco Jazz Collective, music of Antonio Carlos Jobim, plus some other tracks, if you know what I mean. Okay, looking at the time, it's just about 2:10 now, so got time for about two more tracks. I'm going to play you today with a couple of tracks from a good friend of mine over in Singapore. His name is Daniel Chia. I've just reconnected with Daniel after a wee while, being away from Facebook. I'm now part of the Facebook community again, and I do find it very, very useful for connecting with students down at School of Music in Wellington. And for other various reasons, it's a fairly good platform for selling and buying stuff, I guess, if you will, and also just checking out what people are up to. You know, as long as it doesn't become too political, I don't particularly mind all those bits and pieces. But yeah, it's just nice if you treat it. I think for me personally, if I treat it as a means to an end, if you will, which is not. I don't sort of try and say too much political stuff, if any, on there. I think it's stuff to sort of share with other people, but not necessarily there. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so these last two tracks, as I said, a friend of mine, Daniel Cheer over in Singapore, he runs a great shop called Saxo over there, and he's also a fantastic saxophone player in the smooth jazz vein, and he's been over to the States, played over there quite a bit, and he's now back in Singapore, making his mark over there. His music is very, very popular, and I'm going to play out with a couple of tracks from him, and they are Make You Feel My Love, and what else could that be but a smooth jazz? But Make You Feel My Love, I love it, and Cali Style. In fact, let's start with Cali Style, and then I'll play you out with Make You Feel My Love. I'll say goodbye to you in a short while. First and foremost, here comes Daniel Chia. Time for me to say goodbye to you with this beautiful music playing in the background, and as always, it's been a great pleasure bringing you such gorgeous music, and with Daniel popping away in the background there. It's good for me to be able time to say goodbye, and I do hope you'll be able to join me next Wednesday at 12:30 for an hour or so, hour and 50 minutes, and in the meantime, have a wonderful week ahead and be safe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye bye.